You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building, Hasan Minhaj.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
what's up?
Me and Hasan go back. to MTV. What was the show you hosted on MTV?
Oh my God,
I can't
philosophy.
Philosophy.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that all last night. That's when they was doing their whole trying to do another ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Philosophy. That's what it
Man,
How did that do?
it got canceled.
was. It got canceled. Yeah. It got canceled.
You know, it was great though. Actually, I met a lot of like New York comedians out of that.
Yeah.
We met. It was fun. It was
See,
cool.
it's about perspective, right? You
Right.
can say
Yeah.
about cancer, but but the bright side of it is I met a lot of great people.
Yeah,
Did you move to New York for that show?
temporarily. I was living in LA, and then I moved out to New York for like a couple months, and then it was my first time learning how to host a show.
Yeah.
Work with a panel. It was a really good experience. I don't think it was. I knew. All right, this could possibly not go well.
Why? Why did you think that?
I mean, the title of the show was Philosophy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it was
It's
like
pretty
kind of
bad.
a setup
It's like
there.
pretty bad.
Who
Yeah.
named it?
somebody at
Somewhat
MTV.
at MTV.
And ridiculousness was popping then. They was just trying to make another
Yeah.
ridiculousness.
You know how when something works, then they're like, we just need Diet Pepsi that.
Right? They do that all the time in music. When one artist pops up,
Yeah.
they're like, we need another
We need
this.
15 other artists.
Every label
Yeah.
wants another artist just like that.
That was like, Philosophy was like the designer to Future.
There you go.
You know how it's just like, it sounds
There
the
you go.
same, but it's not the same.
Absolutely.
Like,
Great
it was kind of
analogy.
like that.
And in light of that show, though, like watching how you've grown, that wasn't really you anyway.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it was it was you got to perform, you got to stand up there, tell jokes. It was good. It prepped me for the Daily Show.
Now, how much has this current political climate helped your career, you think?
That's interesting. I don't know. You know, I think now political culture has become popular culture, and I could feel that when I was when the Daily Show was at the conventions, the DNC and the RNC. When I saw E! News and VH1 there, I was like, oh, okay, like politics has become reality television.
Absolutely.
Because of Donald Trump?
Yeah, because he has that professional wrestling background. He's brought that to politics. So
I said that this morning because the Kardashians look so whack to me now ever since the Trump's got into the White House.
yeah,
I'd rather keep up with the Trumps than the Kardashians.
yeah, because reality is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
So that's a lot more crazy than anything you could, pre-write for
Yep.
E! News. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's weird. It's definitely bizarre.
What did you think about the whole Bill Maher situation with him using the N-word and then people wanting to fire him? And then some people saying, listen, Bill Maher is a friend to black people. It was wrong for him to do that, but we should let it slide. What would be your take?
Yeah, I think it's like this. So first of all, being from the Muslim community, we've had problems with Bill Maher before. He's got a lot of sort of Islamophobic rhetoric that he's, done on the show.
Yeah,
that being
you
said,
spoke about it on your special.
Yeah, I
with
talk
his
about it.
exchange with Ben Affleck and Sam
yeah,
Harris.
so he's been doing that,
Yeah.
and he's kind of gotten a pass. People are like, no, he's a bastion of freedom of speech, and he gives it to politicians. I think those aren't mutually exclusive concepts. He's made a few bad decisions, but he's also groundbreaking and revolutionary in that medium. You know what I'm saying? So I can have problems with one and still give props in another way as well.
Have you ever used the N-word at all?
I actually used the N-word in reference to something that I was called. Do you know what I mean? I told a story.
right,
You
right.
I
gave
told a
somebody
story.
the same energy
Yeah.
they gave you. They call you a slur and you give it back to
No.
them.
In the special, I
No.
talk about.
No.
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 Like, what are you
That's
talking about,
not
Charlotte?
right.
Jesus,
You call me
yeah.
a nigga, I'd be like, you crack ass. I love it. I give it right back to him.
No, but I don't use the word. No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Yeah. And I've been called a sand N-word.
He was quoting what somebody said
Yeah,
about him.
but I don't openly use it now. I don't see a reason to.
Yeah.
There's so many other words you could use. Like, I've never understood that debate. Why is that a thing where it's like, can I use it? Like, why? I still don't understand the fundamental reason
I
as
don't
to
think we
why.
should use it either as black people.
See, but you know what though? I have Muslim friends and Puerto Rican friends, and everybody uses the word, and it doesn't feel away.
Because we all like brown and black. Well, you beige, but you know what I mean.
Shut up.
You are people of color.
Right.
Is what
My
you're
thing is err on the side of caution. Even if someone gives me the pass, like, oh, you can use it, I'm like, just.
why you shouldn't even want to.
Yeah.
It should feel wrong to you. Like, why would I want to
Yeah.
use this? Yeah.
But you a hip hop head, son. So what about when
Yeah.
you're listening to your favorite records? Are you
Like
at a
a little
concert or
YG
something? Are you
or
in the
something?
club?
But I'm also old enough to like understand context. So I'm just like,
yeah.
all right. So for me, it's just Paris.
Gotcha.
Just Paris.
In Paris.
It's
That's
just
all. Yes.
we're in Paris.
I get
Shout outs to Google Maps. We're in Paris.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to think about someone told me this and I was like, man, knowing this and then using the word kind of messes with my head. He's like, there's no other word in the English language that says, hey, I used to own you like property.
Ooh, I like that.
What other word has that connotation?
Ho.
No,
Whore.
I don't know, man.
not even.
So to me, I
Some
mean,
of
I
that's a
can't speak on that.
decision.
Yeah. So to me, using that word, that's,
Gotcha. I
you
like
know what
that.
I'm saying?
It's a powerful.
I'm old. I'm 31. I know now. I'm old enough to know. Like, I don't know, man. You know, in the special, I talk about a hate crime that happened at my house post 9/11.
When they threw the glass at
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And the people that were calling our house called me and my dad a sand N. You know, but I made the choice to use the word in the special so that people could hear it. This is what
Right.
people have called me: a sand N, a dune coon, a camel jockey. Say it.
Dude, cool.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, that's kind of fun.
But to like
No,
say
it's
it.
not.
That sounds crazy. I like alliteration. So Dune Coon is funny.
Yeah, but
Does that-
And by
it's
the way,
not. But
this-
No, but you know what I mean.
this special
Charlamagne's
that
like,
we're
man,
talking
that
about-
hate crime was hilarious.
these guys go.
No, yeah.
So, you know, they smashed in the windows to our house, but you're like, yo, your alliteration game, though. My God, it's poetic.
But no, y'all, you do.
Charlamagne, you're nuts, man.
But you do that on the special though.
Yeah.
Like, it'll go into these real deep moments,
Yeah.
and then you're like, damn. Then you come out with a joke.
Yeah,
I'm like, Am I
yeah.
supposed to laugh?
Yeah. But laughter and crying are two sides of the same coin. You've ever been in like a really fucked up situation and then you're also like, this is kind of hilarious.
Oh yeah, I got beat up
Yeah.
so bad one time, and I just was all swollen, and I was crying, and then it just turned to laughter.
Yeah.
And the first time I masturbated, I laughed and cried at the same time.
Jesus, man.
I did, because the girl that had broke my heart, I thought masturbation was a bad thing, so I was jacking off because I hadn't had sex with her in a while because she was messing with somebody else, and I was crying like, look what you're making me do.
Uh-huh.
But those tears are good at that point. It's like a lubricant.
Shut up.
That's your boy. You shake his hand all the time.
I do.
But I meant to ask.
And I just want to say what the special is because we keep saying the special,
Right, right.
But it's on Netflix. It's Homecoming King.
Yes.
May
Yes.
23rd.
No, it's out already.
It's already
Yeah,
out.
I watched it.
Now, question. Now, how do you feel when comedians make Muslim jokes? Does that bother you at all?
For me, I'm really a proponent of free speech. So to me, I think what's great about freedom of speech is this is the open marketplace of ideas. So say what you want to say, but I'm a big advocate in presenting the best argument. May the best argument win. So you can get up there and you can say whatever you want to say. You have the right to do that. Whether it's a comedian or Richard Spencer, you can do that. You're going to face potential repercussions.
There you go.
But as a comedian, I'm like, I'm going to present a better argument to the audience. And I would hope that the audience is like, yeah, that guy's right. Not this insane dude. There's this great photograph, and I'll never forget it. There's a photograph of an African-American woman, a black woman, protecting Klansmen who are, you know, like doing a demonstration. She's protecting them from being hurt. She's saying, hey, she's protecting their freedom of speech. Even though these people are insane, let them do what they want to do, because I believe sanity will outweigh their extreme rhetoric. You know what I
but
mean?
you shouldn't get in the way of what God may have planned for a person. Because if the Klan is putting out
Sure.
negative energy, move out the way, sister, and let the negative energy hit them where it needs to hit them.
Oh, so
You
you're
know what
saying
I'm
just clear the
Yeah, like,
runway?
yeah, get out the way.
We're in a very interesting time, man.
Yeah, do you feel the pressure to be the mouthpiece for Muslims?
I
Because I feel like you kind of are in a strange way. Like it just happened like that.
I mean, we're having a moment right now. There's a lot of different, what I think is awesome is we're getting a lot of different Muslim voices out there. There's Aziz, there's Kamel Nanjiani, there's Riz Ahmed. So there's something, there's definitely like a brown renaissance that's happening, which is cool.
Because I feel like Muslims are often talked about in the country, but rarely talked to, at least in the mainstream media. That's why I thought your stand-up was so good, because it was interesting just to hear that POV,
Right.
you know?
But what's crazy is we've been here for a long time.
I was reading an
Yeah.
article about how they said the depiction of Muslims in Hollywood is non-existent or not very positive normally.
I think what's interesting, yeah, generally not. Like if you look at like Homeland, it's always from the perspective of, okay, whether it was like Serial Podcast or The Night Of or Homeland, it's like these crazy brown dudes are radicalizing and they've come here to kill us. What is going on with these deranged young brown kids? And to me, I would love to see a narrative, and that's what I wanted to do in Homecoming King is, what is the 99.9% of Muslims
Right.
what do they deal with in the face of insanity?
Right.
So when a terrorist attack happens, how do they navigate the collateral damage of that?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
You spoke about that in your special. You spoke about how after 9/11, how America felt, but then also how Muslims and Muslim families felt. Like,
Yeah.
I forgot what exactly the wording you used, but it was something like how afraid we are in the country or for the country or something.
Well, I talked about this idea of the American dream tax. A lot of immigrants believe in this concept where, like my parents, they immigrated here. They feel like if you immigrate to the country, you pay this thing called the American dream tax. You're going to go through some racism. And if it doesn't cost you your life, well, you lucked out. Just pay the tax.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
But I was born here. So I'm a citizen. I actually have the audacity of equality.
And
I'm like,
I love
no,
that phrase.
I'm equal.
And my dad's from that generation, like a lot of immigrants, where he feels like if you come to this country, you're gonna endure some racism. But for me, like a lot of us, I was born here. So I actually have the audacity of equality. Like, I'm like, nah, I'm in honors gov. I have it right here. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. All men are created equal. Says it right here. I'm equal.
I love that phrase.
Like I pay my taxes. I'm a contributing member of society. So that's the dichotomy that my generation and my parents' generation, they struggle with. And I think a lot of people, even in the black community, have this, where behind closed doors, believe it or not, a lot of minorities are Republicans in the sheets and they're Democrats in the streets. They're conservatives in the sheets and they're liberals in the streets, where behind closed doors are like, hey, it's not a fair world. So you gotta, be prepared to deal with what you're gonna deal with in the outside world. And then when we're outside in the real world, we're like, hey, we're fighting for equality and justice and all those things. So I talk about that dichotomy in the special a lot.
I love that phrase, the audacity of equality, because I feel like any oppressed, marginalized group feels like that here in America. Did you feel like that before that situation happened to your father, or did you feel like that from birth?
I felt like post 9/11, I felt it like, okay, now there's sort of a target on our backs, and I'm gonna have to address this in some way, shape, or form. And so right around, I started to think about that as I got older.
Now, back to Bill Maher real quick. Do you think he's Islamophobic? Because that's the term they like.
No. I think his problem, and you've seen this in his documentaries, he has a problem with religion.
Yeah, totally.
That's his thing, where he's like, hey, do you believe in God? You're an idiot. And my problem with that is, coming from a minority background, what's wrong? I think the majority of people are secular religious people. What I mean by that is this. They adhere to the laws of the land. They want a separation of church and state. But in the privacy of their own home, they want to pray to God. And why are those two things why is that a bad thing? But to lump every person who believes in God or religion and to call them an idiot or stupid, I think that's whack.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I was thinking too. You brought up Homeland, and I was thinking every movie that comes out with somebody in it that's Muslim, and it's always, I would say 90% of the time is negative.
Yeah.
And I was thinking when we were growing up, that's how we looked in a lot of the movies. If there was a criminal, it was always the black guy.
Absolutely.
If there was a drug dealer, it was always the black
Absolutely.
guy.
Yeah.
And it seems like it just took time to evolve, and now we have better movies. But I don't see it coming. Are there better movies down in the pipeline? Are they offering you a chance to do those type of movies?
Give them 15.
No. The stuff is moving quick, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Master and None, there's a lot of cool new narratives. So I think what I've noticed with art, with Black America, is this idea, and I think us as brown artists, we should take a page from Black artists. You guys have had to deal with this idea of collective guilt. You have to carry the burden of, oh, we should follow Charlemagne around in the store because he's gonna shoplift, or he's gonna, you know what I mean? So you carrying that burden, but now there's narratives that show, hey, this is what it's like to be a black nerd. This is what it's like to be a regular, everyday person who's living their life and dealing with the repercussions of negative stereotypes.
I do shoplift.
Oh, do you just steal stuff from
Not
CVS?
anymore, right?
I still steal magazines.
Even as a
wrong with you?
bestseller?
Yeah, I do. I do. I don't know why I can't help it.
Why?
Because how you pick it up in the store and you'll be reading it, and for whatever reason you can just walk out with a
You want people to
magazine.
steal your books?
No, that's not a book. A magazine? It's
Are you a
magazine.
klepto? Like people have that compulsive stealing thing?
I don't think so, because I only do magazines. Like that's the only thing I
He's just
steal.
weird.
You have a lot to lose, man.
Yeah.
It's
You
just
go
a
to
magazine.
jail for stealing a magazine.
You can't go to jail for that,
Yeah.
though.
Yes, you can. You can.
No,
It's
no, no.
For shoplifting?
Not
You
for
go to
a
jail for
magazine.
shoplifting.
That's not worth enough money.
Oh, really?
Have you done it? How do you know?
Yeah.
Because I think it's got to be worth more than that.
They can press charges
They
if
press
they want
charges.
to.
I mean,
Now, do you
definitely
think
go
it's a irrational fear of Muslims in America?
No, I think the conversation that we need to level up the conversation. To say blacks are the problem, Mexicans are the problem, Muslims are the problem. No. it's violent extremism.
Right.
So violent extremism has no color
Right.
or religion. The dude who just mowed through Times Square.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or the guy that stabbed the Muslims on the train.
Yeah, or the
absolutely.
dude in Portland.
Yeah.
Every community, there are groups of insane people in the world. So combating that's the real conversation that we need to
And
have.
that's what I always say. Muslims don't like extremist terrorists. That
The majority
that's
of
not what
people,
the Muslim religion is
the
about,
majority of people that
period.
ISIS actually kills are Muslims.
Right.
That's the sad thing. They blow up mosques. They're insane people. Also, this irrational fear of Muslims in America. We're already here, and we already control every aspect of your life. Think about New York City: food, transportation, medicine. We have it all on lock. You leave this building, you're like, Habib, let me get a kebab. All right. Oh, I'm so sick. Muhammad, drive me to the hospital.
That was racist.
Sure thing. Dr. Khan will see you now. At every corner, we could have gotten you, but we didn't. So you're welcome.
This guy.
It's insane.
Can you?
My mom is a doctor. She works at the VA. She's been there for decades. At every corner, she could have poisoned you. She didn't. So
Right.
Yeah.
you're welcome. So we're contributing members of society. This is insanity to think that 1.5 billion Muslims want to destroy the earth.
But that's how America is, especially in the media. All we got to do is see one act or one case of something. Ebola was lock everything down. It was one person in America with Ebola. Same thing with Muslims. Act of terrorism happens in America.
We're the new boogeyman.
That's
But
it.
we've always had a
But
boogeyman.
don't you think we all know Muslims that we have come into
You'd
interaction
be
with?
surprised.
You're
What's
right, 'cause
interesting?
I didn't know Aziz was Muslim.
Yeah.
I thought he was Indian.
No, he grew up Muslim. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I don't know if
Like
he
I know,
identifies with
just
the faith.
coming from
but-
Brooklyn, I knew a lot of Muslim people.
Yeah, but a lot of my black friends have known
Wu-Tang
Muslims
don't
for a
count.
long time.
The 5%.
Wu-Tang don't count.
No, but and that was part of the article that I read that was
Yeah.
saying that the depiction in Hollywood of Muslim people has been either largely absent or negative. And they also said a lot of people in the United States have never come across any Muslim people.
No, they have, but they don't
just don't
know.
know it, right.
Again, they're like, they don't know that their pharmacist is Muslim, their doctor is Muslim. Because, again, the majority of people are secular religious people. Man, I'm just your doctor.
Right.
I'm not trying to bring religion into the conversation, so you don't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't know you was a Muslim when I first met you. I just thought
Yeah.
you was like an extreme Nicki Minaj fan. I was like, I was like,
I went to like extreme measures to change my last
Yeah,
name.
I
It's
didn't know
like, man, I
that.
gotta make it in
It's not even
Hollywood.
spelled the same.
It's not.
I didn't think about it. But I don't ever think about stuff like that. Like black and white is easier to digest. You don't realize all the shades of brown, and
Right.
even yellow, everything else that's going on in the world, because everything in America is so black and white.
I'm not yellow, by the way. Stop it. All
You're
right?
beige. Now, what do you think should be done about radical Islamic extremists? Because like you hear
Man.
about the Muslim bans and the ICE organization that's rounding people up. Like, what do you think?
We're
should
on
be
the
done?
third travel ban.
Yeah.
There are more travel bans than Star Wars reboots. It's insane. It's like it's not even 150 days. We're on
And
the
the-
third travel
The
ban.
crazy thing is it's saying most of the terrorists are homegrown terrorists.
Again,
it's not
yeah.
even people coming in from other places. It's people that were here.
Yeah.
And learn, and I think a lot of this happens. A lot of recruiting happens online too.
Correct.
And
So what do
that's
you-
something they need to monitor.
What do you
more.
think should be done?
How do you combat extremism? I don't know. I'm not an expert. Again, I'm not the
Or
FBI.
has it affected you and your family traveling? Or
I'm lucky because my family is from India.
Right. That's
So
not a-
that's not one of the 7
that's not a
countries
target.
that was on, the ban. So I'm very lucky in that way. But it's strange, especially coming out of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I took a lot of heat from, the alt-right and that new movement of insane people on Twitter. And
racist bigots.
I'm not like you because you engage.
Yes, I do.
That's insanity.
Suck my dick, you crack ass cracker.
Yeah, that's insanity.
my G. Calm down.
Oh my God! Why did you?
What's wrong with
That's
you?
so crazy.
You got to give them the
Charlemagne,
same energy they're giving us.
this is not even 10 o'clock yet.
We have guests here.
Jesus Christ,
We're gonna
man.
have to bleep
I'm
that.
sorry if you offended
Like
you guys.
Charlemagne's ready to go at Steve Bannon. I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
man,
trying to
I
live
can't
my
wait.
life.
Richard Spencer, all of them. I can't
Really?
stand them. Yes.
What is wrong with you?
Why do you choose not to engage?
What am I gonna solve by going at an egg avatar on Twitter?
Do you sometimes feel like you ever type something and then delete it because you get so irritated? Because that happens. Sometimes I do that, but I don't engage either. But
Angela, at
sometimes-
what point will me going at ball drape 97? How is that gonna be?
Charlemagne does it.
He does it all the
I
time.
do.
Yeah, I've
And then you
seen
click
it.
on the Abby and you feel stupid as hell because
Yeah.
there's some fat white guy hugging his girlfriend. He's like, this can't be real. This can't even be him.
I mean, I like to sit on the sidelines and watch the insanity unfold. Facebook's great for that too. Like people you went to high school with, just slowly just going into absolute sheer insanity. I like to sit on the sidelines. I have Spike Lee tickets to just people going nuts on the internet. But to think that I can at one point, have you argued with someone online and they're like, "You're right, Charlemagne. I'm sorry."
Never.
Never.
Because you know what it is? He wants other people to
So your
jump
season
in.
record is 0-82.
You're right.
So
You're
why
right.
do you continue?
He does it all the time.
Yeah.
But he likes to
Disrespectful.
get other people riled up and get them to jump in and defend him and like, go in on somebody.
I
Now,
don't do that.
Now, what if Donald
Insanity.
Trump tweeted you or something about something you said?
That's
would
the new-
you engage that?
I thought he was going to call me out after the dinner.
Yes.
Because he's that crazy.
Right.
I get why Donald Trump didn't want to be roasted tonight. By the looks of him, he's been roasting nonstop for the past 70 years.
I heard you had bars ready for him.
I had some stuff. I called it what was it called? DEFCON Orange. In case he showed up, I had like an orange card ready to go of like, these are all the jokes that I'm gonna do if he shows up in the room. Because he really is a professional wrestler. So I thought I'd be up there on the dais, and then the doors would burst open, like boom, and he would just walk in and be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Him and Richard Spencer and Voldemort and all
They
the
would've
Death
tackled
Eaters.
your ass.
Yeah, like it would have been like, X-Pac, like we're here.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
shit, like, you know.
I thought that moment was so good for you because nobody else wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And you stepped up, Muslim comedian, just made perfect sense. And I was like, either this is going to go really well for Hasan or really bad. And you rose to the occasion.
What does Donald Trump tell Melania? Listen, babe, last year on that bus with Billy Bush, that's exactly who I am.
Yeah, that was a classic immigrant situation. Nobody wanted to touch it. It was the job no one wanted to do. I came in with my bucket and my mop, and I'm like, all right, give it to the immigrant. IT's here to solve the problem. And I just came right in and I did what my dad and my mom and so many other immigrants have done coming to this country. All right, you guys don't want to do this? We'll do this, and we're going to rip it. Yeah.
Now, what about Kathy Griffin and that whole situation with her holding the
Yeah.
headed Donald Trump?
You know what? You know what's interesting is like, my thing is just, this is my personal position. Just try to be tasteful. That's all. That's all. You know, you can be critical. My thing has always been like this. Be cutting. You don't got to be cruel. So I don't have to hold a decapitated head of a president to show that I dislike you.
Can you imagine if you would have did that?
Or can you imagine? Yeah. Oh my God.
Whoa.
My career would have been over. But I think about the opposite. When people are like, no, Kathy Griffin's right. Imagine some conservative comedian, Jeff Foxworthy or whatever, holding up a decapitated head of
Barack Obama.
Elizabeth Warren, Barack Obama.
World War III.
Yeah, we'd have been like, this is insanity.
Right.
So to me, I'm like, I'm all for, again, an open marketplace of ideas. May the best idea win. That was not a great
good
idea.
idea. I agree.
Again, you can be critical. You just you don't have to burn the entire building down or go after Barron, or you don't have to do that.
Do you think?
To
Do
be
you think?
clever, you don't have to be shocking.
Correct.
And you can't threaten the life of a sitting president. You know, that's what it looked like. It
You
looked
shouldn't
like,
threaten the life of anybody, but definitely not the
yeah, not the
president.
sitting president.
Look, some of the jokes that I had for the dinner, there were jokes like that, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna make a joke that's gonna imply you should assassinate him. I'm not like. There's so many other ways to go after somebody. So my thing is, go after their character. Don't go after,
Their life.
Yeah.
And it's worse for you because you're a Muslim comedian, but in the eyes of a lot of people, you represent all Muslims. So if you start making jokes about assassinating the president, it gets taken out on a whole
it gets
community.
extrapolated and the whole thing. Yeah, collective guilt. But everybody's dealing with this idea of collective guilt now.
Do you think comedians have the license to say or do anything?
We're lucky that we, in this country, we do. Yes.
You think so even now in
Yes.
2017?
Yes.
You can do it, but you don't know how people will react to it.
Look, the
You
fact
can
that
say it.
the fact that we're having this debate, I think, is very, very healthy.
Right.
India is one of the largest democracies in the world. I couldn't stand up on stage and give it to Modi. It's impossible. That can't happen in India, even though it's a liberal and open, free democracy. So the fact that we're having this discussion, figuring out, all right, where's the line? Where do we go from here? That's really good, man. And it is a luxury we shouldn't take for granted.
Has there been any other backlash from the White House Correspondents' Dinner other than online?
No, what was cool is it's been majority incredibly positive. And I think reaching out to journalists and saying, hey, you guys are the new minority. Like the way you guys are getting it right now. You're the scum of the earth. When one of you messes up, he blames the entire group. I'm like, yeah, welcome to our world.
Yeah.
Now you know what it feels like to be a minority. Now, like, I think it engendered empathy on both sides of the aisle.
You haven't done those shows down south yet, though.
No, they sent me, the Daily Show sent me to Alabama.
Really?
Yeah.
How was
Jesus
that?
Christ.
Yeah.
I was like, we have white correspondents on the show, right? Like, you don't have to send me. But it was actually really good. What's good?
Do they call you names down there when you go?
No. What was really cool is Trevor was like, no, we're one of the lowest rated shows in Alabama. So we had this thing called Alabama Week on the Daily Show.
Of course you are a black host and a Muslim senior correspondent.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but what was awesome?
Alabama week.
Yeah,
How
but
was
like
Alabama week?
it was cool because we covered every topic: religion, guns, the prison system. But you end up learning people from the South, and you probably feel this way being from South Carolina. They're not a monolith.
Absolutely.
They're not just a bunch of toothless hillbillies. It doesn't work like that. We learned that there's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, Democrat, Republican, that are fighting for amazing, good issues. And so it was really cool. It was actually a great week.
Now, Hasan, Charlamagne has said that he's never experienced overt racism.
I can't believe that.
Now, I was going to
I've
ask
never been
you.
called a coon or a nigga to my face. Now, covertly, I'm sure I've experienced it.
Yeah.
But I've never experienced it overtly.
Really, being from the South?
No.
Never?
Now, Hasan,
No.
what has your experience been? I know on your stand-up you talk about it,
Yeah.
but has it been like overwhelming, or would you say when you were younger it was worse? You think it's worse now?
It's hard to. I will say this: that feeling when you turn on the news, and you know how sometimes you turn on the news, you go, "Please don't let it be a black guy. Please don't let it be a black
Right.
guy."
Yeah.
We have that too. Please don't let it be a brown guy. Please don't let it be a brown guy, because we're gonna have to deal with the repercussions of that. So I feel that now that I'm older. My wife and I, we want to have kids, and I think about that. I think about the world they live in. Do you ever think about that with your kids?
Yeah, because I got nothing but I got 2 daughters. So
Because you have an amazing mentality. I really respect that, where you're like, I don't look at my race or anything. I think about what I want to accomplish in life, and I actually have the audacity of equality. I deserve just as much as anybody else.
Yeah, and not only that, I'm unapologetically black, and I
Yeah.
believe in my blackness, and I believe that we are great, and we come from a long line of kings and queens, and we're gods and we're goddesses, and we will represent as such.
And that's great. But then also there's the pragmatic rubber meeting the road of, all right, we have the prison industrial complex. We have profiling for black people. We have stop and frisk. Those are real things that you have to deal with. So for me, I try to swing between those two things where I'm like, I deserve just as much as any other white comedian. And then I'm also like, all right, these are the cognitive frameworks of the world that we really have to practically deal with. So I swing between both of those things.
It's interesting though, because even with my book Black Privilege, and I'm saying it's a privilege and an honor to be black, and people will come to me and be like, oh, but what about mass incarceration and all the oppression that black people have to deal with? I'm like, those aren't our burdens to bear. Those are things we have to deal with. But why are we victim blaming? Like, that's racists and bigots and other people's prejudice that are causing those things. It's other people's discrimination that are causing those things. All we're doing is just living and being black.
So are you saying just you should be confident with yourself and
Of course,
yeah,
absolutely.
I'm with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You were called the color of poop
Yes.
by your crush.
Yeah.
What age was this?
It was like 6.
And now, did that really?
That's not as good as doing coon.
Did that crush you?
I remember that was the first time I remember.
And why did she call you the color of poop? Were y'all going back and forth, or she just said,
No,
You
I was
said
just
that
I was in the sandbox.
Right.
I was 6. I was like, I love you.
By the way,
She was like, you're the color of poop.
if she was really,
That's the first time. Do you remember the first time you experienced racism? You don't know what it is. When you see little kids and they're playing with each other,
Yeah.
and then at some point, socioeconomics or race becomes a thing. That's the first time I realized I was like, oh, I'm different. You know what I mean? Like,
It's
oh,
interesting because I grew up in a all-black neighborhood, but my last name is Yi.
Right.
So my dad's Chinese. There wasn't nobody Chinese in my school, nobody Chinese in my neighborhood.
Right.
So that was always an issue for me growing up, just having that last name and everybody making fun of me for that.
So how did you figure out, like, did you struggle with identity stuff?
I wouldn't say that I did, just because my mom's black, my dad's Chinese, and it just was making fun of me, and then it actually made me have a better sense of humor and a tougher skin at a young age.
you should have acted like
I
you knew
was-
karate. You was scared to
I was, and my
everybody.
dad definitely could beat anybody up too.
Right.
But
Oh, wow.
It
How did you
definitely
deal with
made
it,
me
though?
tougher.
How did you deal with it? Because with these kids these days, it's a lot tougher. And my kids deal with it a lot now because we live in a white neighborhood and they're black, but I teach them to go back at them.
You damn right.
Yeah,
Cracker
they should.
ass cracker.
Not to
Teach
say
your
that.
kids how to snap.
Not to say that, but I teach my kids.
No,
how to
but
snap.
to
That-
be
that's
like,
what it
hey,
is.
you got to either be good with your jokes or you got to be good with
But don't let
fighting.
it affect you, because once you let it affect you, they win.
That's true too.
You know?
When you
I'm
said
with
that on the
that.
special last night, though, I was like, what poop is your color? There's no poop that color.
Yeah,
Brown?
Hers should be a little darker.
Oh, so she was trying to make a brown joke.
Yeah, you're the
Okay.
color of poop.
Got you.
I was
Got
just
you.
making
Got
a
you.
joke. She probably was just.
She
She
heard
was
that
being a
from somebody.
kid. She was just being a
She
kid.
heard that from
Yeah.
somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
And y'all were in the sandbox. It was a much better joke to be had there, but she just wasn't
She was
witty
sick.
enough.
I mean, for 6, that's a good joke.
Oh,
For a 6-year-old,
oh,
for a first
6.
grader,
Okay. All right.
that's pretty good, man.
At least you didn't smell like poop.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
You talk about interracial relationships a lot in this special.
Right,
Do you
right.
think that is what will ultimately help in racism as time progresses?
I just think that love intrinsically being bigger than fear will help end it. And seeing people as individuals, that's the thing. That to me can be one of the many reasons that can end racism. If you stop lumping people as these large monoliths and see people as individuals, and I know this is very kumbaya, but that's what helps. I think will help dispel the myth. When you can go, hey, Hasan is Muslim, so if you like him, perhaps we can use this logic and extrapolate it to 1.5. Then maybe a billion other people are normal and nice and good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a lot there. All right, now listen, I want to unpack two things. Like when
What's
you
up?
talk, it's the whole thing about I hate saying a good anything. Like, oh, he's a good white person, or he's a good Muslim, or anything. Like, you know what I'm saying?
We should be we should be judged by the content of our character.
Yeah. Like it shouldn't be like, because when you say it's a good Muslim, of course that means there's other bad Muslims, but it's kind of like saying all Muslims are bad, but this one is good.
Look, I think the bottom line is, can we get to a point in our society where we're just seen for our merits?
Yeah.
That's it.
No, it's difficult.
That's a hard
if
thing.
something affects you in a negative way, you always look at whatever that was the same way regardless. You know,
Sure.
for instance, if I had a bad incident with somebody of a Puerto Rican. Let's say a Puerto Rican did something to me.
You are
bad.
Puerto Rican though.
I'm not Puerto Rican, you ass. But let's say Puerto
Dominican,
Rican.
I'm sorry.
Every time
Right.
you look at something, you might look at them a certain way, and
Right.
that's hard because it's not. You can look at people for their merit, but it's what happens. It's everything that you've been through. You know. So
Unfortunately,
it's
yeah.
difficult.
I mean, you've talked about this with the car stuff, right? You had the story about like when you go to the dealership, you
God.
get treated a certain way.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about something else.
No. But you're. Oh no, I wasn't gonna get into that. But no. I don't want to get into that. But that idea of just like you not being judged based on your merit of like who you are. Yeah, you're DJ Envy. Like, of course you can walk
But it
into a
doesn't
dealership
matter.
and
I'm
get the car.
judged for the way I look. You know,
Correct.
If I go in there and I'm
Correct.
wearing jeans and a sweater and a hoodie, and I go into a dealership that sells expensive cars, I know
Yeah.
for a fact they're not going to respect me. They're not going to come.
That's
up to me.
what sucks
I
is
know
like that you actually have to care about the way you're. That's one of the shitty things. Like we actually have to get dressed up and look good and get your like beard done to be like, all right, this guy's normal. Whereas a white dude can walk, like Steve Bannon can walk into a dealership
Flip-flops.
with flip-flops and sweatpants and be like, you don't know who he is? He's the co-founder of Google. And they're like, oh my God. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
I think that's I don't believe that either, because
Really?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Come, Charlemagne.
I think it goes both ways, because I grew up where my father would always say white people like dress like white people don't wear their money, right? But then now I see some of these dudes and I be like, that dude could be Dylan Roof. You know what I'm saying? Like I got prejudice too when it comes to this certain thing. I don't just look at a white man and be like, oh, he's innocent. Sometimes these white dudes walk up and I'm like, hold up, this dude might have a gun. Or
No,
something,
man,
you know what I
I've
mean?
been into department stores with my wife, and if we're not dressed the right way, like if we just go in bumming it, yeah, I've seen the people who work there treat other patrons better.
Got you.
And that I have a problem with that. Whereas if all right, I'm putting on my Daily Show suit and I look a certain way, then people are like, oh, hey, how are you, sir? That's what I'm talking about.
Got
Does
you.
it make you want to
Yeah.
stunt and spend money, or does it make you want to not spend your money there and support?
Oh, but you mean when I get
Yeah,
treated like
when
that at a
they-
department store? Yeah, like I'll just take my dollars elsewhere. Yeah.
It was interesting because I've been looking at a space because I'm opening a restaurant in Brooklyn, and I went to go look one day. I had on like sweats,
Yeah.
and so the realtor that was showing the space shows up. He's like, "This is for you. You're looking for this." Like he didn't think that I could potentially
Wow.
be doing something.
This is the
and I
juice
don't know
spot,
if it's
right?
because I'm a woman.
That's
Well,
the-
no, that I already
restaurant.
had that. This is
Yeah.
something else. But I don't know if it's because I'm a woman. I don't know if it's because of how I was dressed.
Probably because
Yeah.
you dress bummy.
But
Don't look like
you-
you can afford it.
I had on a nice sweatsuit. I mean, it was still,
I love that you guys are opening businesses. That's so dope.
But
got-
yeah,
you got to.
I felt a little taken aback by it. I was like, yes, I actually am looking for a spot. And then I was able to, when we went inside and looked at the space, talk about a lot of things. And then he felt more comfortable when he could see that I knew what I was talking about.
Right.
But just by looking at me, he was looking at me like,
Yeah,
what are
that
you doing?
sucks. But the fact that you have to beat him by 20 points, be like, oh damn, like he's got her shit together. That's concerning. Like I don't like that.
What about this whole concept of phobias, right? Like when you talk about Islamophobia and things like that, I keep saying that I feel like people fear what they don't understand.
Correct.
That's why I say again, your stand-up special is very good, because if
Yeah.
I've never had a conversation with a Muslim person, I can watch this and hear this POV as opposed to just getting fed things
Correct.
from the media.
Correct. You watch Homeland, you're like, these people are terrifying. If you watch, say, Homecoming King, to me, again, I think it's a representation of this is what 99.999% of new brown America has to deal with. This is what it's like. They turn on their TV and they're dealing with collective guilt. And I wanted to put that perspective out there. I'm empathetic to people that are being fed a distorted version of reality. I'm empathetic to that. You only make decisions based on what you know, but I think also you got to hold people accountable to say, hey, you also have to be open to new information.
Do your research.
So you can understand why it's a fear of Muslims in America.
Sure, if you watch mainstream media, we're constantly being peddled, hey, you're going to get killed from terrorism tomorrow. When statistically that's just not true. You're more likely to die texting or crossing the street or getting hit by a car. Like, you're more likely to die texting about ISIS than actually dying from ISIS.
That's why I love what you said about his 1.5 billion or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and you could poison us every day if you wanted to.
Yeah. Like almost nearly a third of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's insane.
And I always talk about that book I read, The Girl Who Escaped from ISIS, where she talks about being in Syria and being terrified of these ISIS extremists and how they ripped her family apart. And then she was, taken in and she was raped as a young girl, and her and all her friends, and it's horrifying. And she kept being like, I wish somebody from the United States would come and save us.
Wow.
And it's like they're victims of that living there, and it's worse than we can even imagine.
Sure.
Do you get backlash from other Muslims saying things like he's not representing us right? Because I always see that with like.
Do you get that? I mean, you've gotten that, right? But to me,
always.
But to me, again, it's like we're not a monolith. We should have different, diverse voices within the community. This idea that one person has to carry the mantle for everybody is insane.
I agree.
There's shades of belief, and I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome that you exist here, and there's other black voices that represent other, ideologies and perspectives. That's dope.
Right.
That's healthy. I'm not against that.
Appreciate you for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Make sure you watch that special on Netflix if you haven't had a chance to see it yet.
It's called Homecoming King, and you can watch him on The Daily Show every night.
Thank you.
Where can they find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter at Hasan Minhaj and Instagram at Hasan Minhaj, and peep the special, man.
Right.
All right. Well, there you have it. Hasan Minhaj. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club. Every weekday morning. Tune in.